Hiya, how are you doing? If you're watching the video, you might notice I'm in a really bright, big room. And it's because normally I sit in my bedroom hiding, or when I'm in Denmark, I sit on the up on the top floor where nobody's in. But I'm having a couple of weeks where I'm actually alone at home during the day in Spain because Bruce is doing some building work with his brother, and it's really rare to have the house to myself. So I thought I'll sit here and like where I'm surrounded by light, and it's really nice. Just in case you're wondering where I am, I'm in Spain today, and when this comes out, I'll probably be in Denmark. So we'll in Denmark for the summer. Um, so I follow other coaches and I follow obviously a lot of discussions about the veterinary profession online and talk about it with people. And I hear a lot about how burnout in the veterinary profession is industry problem. It's what do they call it? It's an organizational problem. It's not as much individual. Like we shouldn't be blaming the individuals for burnout because obviously when you're short staffed, working long hours, and you're kind of being forced to work a bit against your values, then it's actually not your fault. It's not because you're not resilient enough or you are weak or you should change yourself to fit into a broken system. No, and I've given this a lot of thought because I feel like it's not so black and white, and I feel that you have much more power than you probably think and than most people think without saying at the same time, oh, you should just like get better at this, right? So if you go back to episode one, and I want to just recap this a bit, right? So in episode one, I explained a bit how the world exists, how everything happens, and how much control we have over what happens in the world to an extent, right? So we have the 5 steps, the 5 things that happen in the world. You have your circumstance, which is true that is something you cannot change. If you're working in a client in a clinic that has a specific amount of opening hours and a specific length of the consultations, whatever, like maybe stuff you can't change, your boss, the clients that come in, you can't control if it's not your clinic. But then everything else you can control, right? Because then you have that circumstance, which is a bit like the weather. It happens and it just happens, and now you have to deal with it. And then you have your thoughts around it. And this is where most of us have so much power and we have so much control and we don't realize it because we don't even know what we're thinking, and we're completely mixing up the circumstance and the thoughts. And then depending on what you think about, your clinic, your work, the clients, the pets, your boss, you have specific feelings, you take actions from these feelings, you spin in like your brain spins depending on what you're thinking and feeling. And then the results that you are creating for yourself and how you perceive the world is all like put through this lens, right? And I feel if you really hate being in the veterinary profession and you're really burned out and you're really struggling, of course I'm not going to tell you that you shouldn't leave vet med, right? That you should just like keep grinding and get in there and just learn to feel better about it. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I am saying is I feel that we have all worked so hard to get into this profession, right? There's a certain amount of sunk cost now in the amount of like money if you got student loans. All your family and friends know that you went into this, you always wanted to be a vet, and nobody could possibly understand if you want to leave. And it's not, and there's that side of it, right? But it's not as much that, it's more it's if you leave because the way you're living and perceiving veterinary medicine is through a lens that is distorted because you actually don't understand the difference of your circumstances and you don't understand how your brain is making you see your situation. I feel leaving when you're in this kind of distorted bubble in a way, and you are not fully aware of all the ins and outs of what am I thinking and what am I creating here and how much am I adding to this and how much am I not doing this, and you just leave because it's gonna make you feel better because you're gonna remove the circumstance of veterinary medicine, and for sure like sitting on your couch and watching Netflix or working in something else where you don't have to deal with the hours with the clients with whatever, like you don't have that trigger of a circumstance to make you think certain things and feel stress, burnout, anxiety. And leaving without having a clear picture of what is actually going on, I think it's gonna erode a bit of trust in yourself. I think you're gonna think you're going to have feelings and thoughts around like, I failed, or this was too much for me, I was not strong enough, or the veterinary industry is broken. You're going to come out with a lot of negative thoughts around you, both yourself and also towards the industry. And it's going to be like this part of your past that never resolved, and you're glad you're out now, and like, well, I couldn't cope with it kind of thing. But you're not going to have that clarity, and you're not going to have work through. And I say this because I've been there and I did it, right? And I still, like, there's going to be a point where I will want to retire from vet med, but it's going to be because, like, now I just done it for so many years. I'm a bit bored and maybe I want to do something else. I'm not there yet, but I can feel sometimes I'm a bit like, maybe I want to do something else. But it's coming from such a clear picture. It's coming from, I have such a clarity about what I think about veterinary medicine, how it affects me, how I respond to that, and how I let it affect me day to day, that if I leave, I will be completely clear on this is exactly what's happening. This is how much I attribute and hit to this, and this is how much I understand what's going on. I understand I can cope, and now I just don't want to right now. I just don't want to because I want to do something else that's even better. No, instead of running away from vet med without understanding what's going on. No, and I compared a lot to relationships because our relationship with veterinary medicine is a relationship. It is like being in a relationship. And if you are in a relationship or in a marriage and it's not working, and you keep blaming your partner and you keep blaming them, or he chews too loud, or he folds his underpants, or he's just not listen, he doesn't listen to me, and he just doesn't know what I want, and I don't, and you never actually look at your part of it, then when you go to your next relationship, you will take those problems with you. You will never have worked through what was it that you contributed to the relationship with. You never have worked through, well, what were the triggers that made me so mad, and why did I want him to have the whole responsibility of me feeling great and I didn't really, like that. It's so different for everybody. But the process of realizing, okay, vet med is terrible to a point. It's challenging. It's also marvelous. Other things about it are just amazing, right? We have so much fun sometimes, and when you overcome challenges, and when you save patients and the owners are so happy, and you help, like, helping others is one of the biggest medicines for depression, right? If you're feeling really low, then you help somebody else, you feel better. It's human condition, like living in community and contributing to other people. It gives us so much. And as a vet, even if, you have the shitty clients that don't want to pay on their bulldog breeders on this, and you have to work a lot of hours, but you still get a lot out of it because you are contributing, helping others. No, and that does give us a lot. But there's just so much around it that we're not sorting out. Like, we're not setting proper boundaries, which means instead of helping others, we're actually just giving all of ourselves, and we don't like take care of ourselves, which is like not desirable either, right? And we don't and we just like, we're people pleasing, and we are just thinking constantly that we're not good enough, and we are doubting ourselves, and we think that doubt means that we are not, even worse, we are not good enough, and we compare ourselves to others, and we think they're better than us, and we think they're further ahead, and we look at our own situation and we deem it not successful. I'm not successful. And these thoughts, they're all in our head, and we just think that they're circumstances. You've not separated out what is actually a circumstance and what are my thoughts around it. And it's a bit like, that's what you can compare it to, like, relation to your body, right? Like, if you are a woman, especially, there's certainly things that you think about your body, but you're like, for example, I often think that I don't like my belly. My belly's too big. I have too much belly. I have too much belly fat. I don't like I have like double chins when I laugh really hard. So if you have a picture and I'm laughing, you can see my double chins, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't like this. I don't like that. But none of that is a circumstance. That is just things I'm thinking about my body, right? Because a person that maybe wears 20 kilos more than me would be like, you're skinny, I'm fat, so it's all subjective. But we just see it as fact. I don't have a bikini body. Like, I should just wear a swimsuit because a bikini with this belly, I shouldn't really have it on. And someone who's much skinnier than me might see me as fat, and someone who's fatter than me might see me as skinny. It is so subjective, but we take it as fact. And the same in vet med. If you, for example, have made a mistake, or maybe you're a bit slower than someone else, random person you've compared yourself to at bit space, you're like, oh, I'm not a fast surgeon, or I'm not like good enough, or I'm not fast enough, or well, this is not really my strengths. I'm better at these other things. But you actually don't know, because you're just accepting all these things as truth. And you drag in all those all those thoughts you have around yourself that are detrimental to you, that make you maybe hate vet med and hate going into work and dreading it because you're having all these thoughts. Those thoughts are not gonna, they're not just gonna disappear when you move on to something else. And if you get another job that's challenging in any way, or even like motherhood, right? You can apply these principles. So I did it the other way around. I got coached. I left VetMed because I'm like, I had no idea what I was thinking. I had no idea what I was feeling. I was just like, this is not for me. I cannot do this. VetMed is terrible. It's toxic. It's too hard. People don't appreciate me. Yagadi, yagadi, yagadi. I was so like, this is just all facts in my head back then, right? And then at the same time, I realized I was losing my daughter, in the sense like our relationship was just going haywire when she became a teenager, the youngest one, and that's why I went into coaching, because like I had given up on vet med. I'm like, I'm not doing this shit anymore. I wanna, but I wanna be a mom because I have to, right? I am a mom, whatever, like forever now, no. And I wanted to improve that because I realized that there's a part of me that needs to know more stuff and change something, because she's just being a teenager and that's what they do, you know? And then I learned, oh, these are just thoughts. Oh, this people pleasing things. I'm actually lying to people when I say things to make them feel better when I don't really mean it, right? And that's when I realized, oh, the things that I think are just things I think. I don't have to think them, like, or at least be aware that they are things I think, they're not circumstances. And realizing that was when I then started seeing veterinary medicine in a different light, because I just started like remembering cases and remembering things and remembering how I used to beat myself up and think all these negative things. And because this distorted bubble got kind of corrected through the coaching and through me seeing more clearly what was circumstance, what was I thinking, where are my feelings coming from, and what results were I creating, what actions was I taking that actually were on me. And that's how I saw suddenly vet med in a different light, right? So, and it works the other way, because I see it with my clients as well. Like, they start coaching, they come to me because like veterinary medicine is just too hard, you know, like they don't like where they work, or they don't like the clients, or they feel super anxious about mistakes they've made, or whatever it is. Like, they have all these like distorted visions of how they are within the veterinary profession. And we coach on it, and it starts untangling. It's like this, I've said this before, like it's this bundle of necklaces, like old necklaces just thrown in a drawer, and then you're like, oh, I have this red necklace that fits this dress, and you go to pick it out and you're like, oh, and it's just one big knot, right? So we start it's the same with your thoughts, because you're not aware of it. They're just all tangled up, and you have like circumstance, feeling, thoughts all together in one big black blob of like necklaces. And then when you start untangling that, and this happens when I coach vets, right? I'm like, but have you thought about this? And why did you agree to do the shift if you didn't want it? We start questioning these things. And they were like, because I don't want to disappoint people. I'm like, well, you're going to disappoint them even more when you leave the clinic altogether, because haven't learned how to set boundaries. So we start doing this. And then suddenly it's like, oh, actually, I set a boundary for my mom-in-law the other day, because now they start seeing their family in this new light, right? They realize all the things that were maybe annoying them about their husband, or the way they thought they were in a good mom, or maybe they were just like letting their mom-in-law just completely roll over them, and they were people-pleasing because they didn't know how to say no. They start applying that to their life. And that's what I mean when I say, I don't think you should leave VetMed until you have resolved these things, and until you have a really clear framework, structure, picture in your mind of what is happening exactly. And this also means that once you have that, it's also like, when you're in a relationship in the beginning and you're not quite sure about the other person, and you're like, am I overreacting, or this person a narcissist? You don't really know, right? You need like some advice. You need to speak to others, and you need to kind of like find out where you stand, and am I being a bitch here, or is that person, or is she, like, is it them? You're not quite sure, right? And then often coaching can also help with that, or maybe you go to therapy, or just like journal on it, or you speak to a friend and they make you see the light, and they're like, no, it's him, it's not you, whatever, or the other way around. Like friends come to me, oh, my boy, my partner did this, my partner did that, and I'm like, well, have you thought about, like, why are you even so worked up over it? Like, why is it so important? No, we untangle it, no? And when you have that clear picture, you can see, oh, actually, it's not that I'm not good enough. It's not that I am not resilient enough. It's not that I am like the weak link here. No, this clinic is literally toxic. And now I know, because I can see the circumstances. I can see what I'm thinking about it. I can understand why I'm feeling like I'm feeling. And I don't like these circumstances. This is like now I can see it in a clear light, not from being in fight and fright, not from being in oh, I don't know, and this is terrible, and I'm just like the worst, and look at they're more successful, and I should do more, and it's like the tangled necklaces. It's very hard to make a clear decision from that, and it's very hard to know where you stand, and it's very hard to know what exactly you want when you don't even know what's going on right now. So you can maybe have an idea of how you would like your veterinary life to be or your non-veterinary life to be, but you can't see how to get there. You can't have a clear goal if you don't know exactly where you are right now. It's a bit like, again, if you come back to weight loss, for example, like, oh, I would like to lose 5 kilos. Well, what would happen if you lost 5 kilos? Like, what would you have to do that? Why would you want to do that? And are you even like you're gonna lose all over. You're not just gonna lose your belly. Like you're gonna like your tits are gonna go. So why would you want to lose 5 kilos? Like you really need to be really clear. Okay, so my body fat percent is this. Like my composition is this. I want to do like weight lift because what I really want is to gain muscle. You can't just like loosely say I want to lose 5 kilos and then I look amazing in a bikini, right? You need to like there's a bit more to it, and it's the same. With veterinary medicine, like being in like, oh, this is terrible. I don't like it. I want to go out and open a bakery. Or I want to work for a pharmaceutical company. But exactly like why? What is it that's not working? And what would you feel better doing? Like who are you even? I've definitely lost myself so much when I was in burnout, and I couldn't even like I struggle with, and it's taken me a long time. And it's funny because I was speaking to my niece about it. She's at 21. I'm like, it's really taken me 40 years to like just figure out what I really like and what I really want and say clearly, no, I don't really want to do this. And this is the work I've done through the veterinary coaching, then to keep doing that, getting coached on stuff over and over, and then realize who am I really and what do I like and what don't I like about myself. And yes, I'm a people pleaser, but that's because I try to be nice, but it's coming from this place of not being confident and I just want people to like me. And that's not who I want to be. I want to be a nice person and a kind person, a person with a lot of compassion, but I want it to come from not because I want to feel better or because I have to prove that I'm a good person or not because I want them to like me, but it should come from just me. Like, I genuinely want to help this person. And that's just it, altruism. And be really conscious of that. And all the patterns that you have, maybe where you tend to compare yourself to others. Well, why is that? What is it? And why do you think they're better? What is it that's better about them? Like really break up these things. So if you then decide to leave either the clinic or you decide to leave the veterinary profession, you have such a clear picture about who you are and what you want and why you want it and what your priorities are and what you will stand for and what you will not accept anymore and what boundaries are yours and what boundaries do you accept from others, and can you take feedback? Can you give feedback? Can you change things without changing yourself? Like all those things we never get taught anywhere, right? It's crazy really how we do not get taught anywhere how to live our lives better and how to know who we are and how to deal with the world in the way that suits us the best. Are you an introvert or an extrovert? Are you this? Are you the other? Like I have like so many things that like traits that ADHD people have, and some autistic things, and some like a bit like obsessive things as well that I used to want to hide and I felt ashamed about. And then like now through coaching, I met so many people that are batshit crazy like me. So now I laugh about it and I'll say it out open and I will tell Bruce about it. And he's like, oh my God, your brain. I'm like, I know, it's weird, right? But I to me, it's a strength that when I use it, and I won't try to fit myself into a box that I don't belong in anymore, because now I accept all these things about me. And if you have that, right? If you know who you are, you know how you react, you know why you react the way you react, and that gives you such a clear picture. Like, well, obviously I don't fit into this clinic because they work just go against all my priorities, all my values, and the way I function. Is there another clinic maybe that would be more for who I am and how I like to work? Can I try it out? And then you go maybe and try another clinic for 3 months or 6 months, and you're like, that's not working either. I don't think this is for me. Maybe I want to go solo, but like from such a clear place, right? Not just like trying to run away because this is all horrible and I'm going to die, Also, all that said, like I've said before, like if you want to take a break just because you need to be able to breathe for a while, do that. But I wouldn't leave completely from that place, right? I would try I don't like saying try because it implies like, oh, I'm going to try and jump over this bridge. I'm going to fall into this water. I would work on myself. I would try and find this clarity. I would like get a clear perspective, untangle the thoughts, like untangle the necklace, have a really clear, have the model running in your brain. Like when something happens, like they have said this has happened. I am thinking this. Of course, me thinking this is going to make me feel like this. But it's not the boss. It's not the clients. It's not the times. It's not the whatever. That's not making me feel anything. The feeling I have is from what I'm thinking, or it's a fight and flight response that comes in like zip straight up my spine into my brain. And this is because I get triggered because of this, right? Because everybody are not going to have like a nervous response. For example, if a client is shouting, yeah, I react because my dad is an alcoholic and used to like shout and hit my mom. So when a client shouts at me and becomes like a bit like violent in the body language, I used to really shy away from it. I used to freeze down. I don't anymore because now I do Muay Thai. I cannot recommend martial arts enough for anybody who has that, like get a bit scared if they get pushed around or somebody shouts at them. I'm not saying you should like beat up clients. I mean, it's optional, but yeah. Anyway, so you understand what is happening, why it's happening, and then you can make decision from that place instead of like running around like a rabbit in the headlights, not knowing what's happening, leaving VetMed, and not having that grounded trust in yourself that you know exactly what's best for you and you know why it's best for you. And I have met a lot of people who have left veterinary medicine and they're happy now. But they always talk a bit about it like, oh, well, that wasn't for me. That wasn't really like, and I feel like if I left VetMed now, because I just want to be like a digital nomad, which is like my dream. Like a lot of us have this dream. And because I love being between countries and just love doing crazy shit. It won't be because VetMed isn't for me or because I couldn't handle VetMed or it was too hard. It's just like now I want to do this other thing, but I can cope with VetMed and I love VetMed and I love being a vet. And I said to Bruce, like if I get so busy coaching that I end up leaving working as a vet, I'm gonna miss it. I don't know how I'm gonna handle it, because I really love it. I love going into work and I love helping and I love being part of a team and all this now because I found a clinic that I like somehow. So that's what I want to say to you. Just if like I wouldn't advise you leaving your relationship, of course, unless it's like abusive and some horrible dude is beating you up. But if you have like a relationship you're slightly unhappy in, I would definitely advise that you first look at it, that you first find out how much of this negativity you're seeing is coming from your perception of it and how you react in your part of the model and how much is actually your partner being a dick. Like I would really clean it up before you move from the relationship because that will make you know so much more about yourself, how you react, why you do it. So if and when you go into a new relationship, you don't carry all that shit with you and you don't repeat the same patterns. And it's the same in VetMed. Even if you go to a new place from VetMed to something that is really nice and mellow and you don't have to get challenged ever again, it's still really nice to have those tools in your belt, like because like for motherhood or challenging family situation or like natural disaster that happens, if you have learned how you can cope in challenging situations and how you react and why and this and the other, like you're just gonna, any challenges in your life, you're just gonna overcome so much faster. Like veterinary medicine can be your biggest teacher to become the best version of yourself. And I know it sounds very cliche, but that is literally how I see it. No, like you come out with we have all these things, right? That how we are and why we are because of the way we brought up and all the patterns we've learned, and learning to make the most out of every little single bit of that and learn to like yourself, to trust yourself, to know that you are the best bitch on the planet for you. That is invaluable. And that's why I would advise to work through anything in veterinary medicine, like get coaching, get therapy, whatever you need. Like, so just to quickly separate out. So therapy is for you if you're barely functioning, if you are at the point where you can't sleep, if you have anxiety attacks, panic attacks, and you have like carry a lot of trauma, maybe from before as well, like sexual abuse, abusive parents, you were abandoned, or like anything like that, like really heavy where you're struggling to function, right? But getting up to have a shower is a challenge for you. That is therapy. That is something where you really need a licensed professional that can help you give those tools. So life coaching, they overlap slightly, but life coaching is for you if you're fully functioning, you're going up to shower, you can cope, you're just not liking your life very much. And you don't really like your career and you keep thinking, I wish I could get out. There must be something else. You get up, you dread going to work, but you are functioning, right? And you are not obviously suicidal. Then like you can do both. Like I work with clients all the time. That's my washing machine going. Can you hear that? Sorry. It's finished. You can do both at the same time for sure. I have worked with like in parallel with therapists, but just so you kind of know a bit like where you're at. Like if you're not functioning and you have to take sick leave because you're so stressed and you are likely to need like we would need gabapentin in cats. I don't know. We know what people get for anxiety, but then you probably need a therapist. But if you're at the point where I don't know what to do in my life, I don't like where I am, I think I want to leave, but I'm not sure, or I want to stay, but I can't see myself doing this, and I want to change clinic, but I don't have the mental, emotional capacity to do anything about it, then life coaching is definitely a good idea. And you can try by yourself, right? I bought all the books, I listened to all the podcasts. I spoke to friends. I watched documentary. I did so many things, but I can honestly say that it was not until I sat in front of the coaches from the life coach school and they were like, "But why are you lying to people? Like, why do you want people to like you?" And they were asking me these really hard questions that I had never asked myself. And that was the only reason I was able to come out of this bubble and actually realize and get a bird's eye perspective. No, so that's something I would really encourage you. Like if you have tried this, if you have tried listening to my podcast, maybe you've read books, maybe you watched some webinars on how to feel better and you speak to peers and you just can't seem to get it, then get coaching. Like I cannot recommend it enough. And I have now I still have some spots for clients. I think I'll probably burn myself out being a coach, but I really, really want to coach you. I really want to get you on a consult. I really want to show this to you in real life, in lifetime. You know, you can come in and you can just tell me what's going on. And I know, like, because I see this, because obviously I advertise this on, personal podcast and on my email list, and people come in and literally click on my Calendly and then they don't book the time. And I just want to say that I understand this. It's you have to overcome that fear in your brain of sitting in front of a stranger, because I know you probably see me as a stranger, even if, you listen to me. And I personally feel like when I meet people I've listened to on podcasts for a long time, I'm like, oh, I know you, but they actually don't know me, right? So it's the same. Sometimes I do need to meet at conferences and meet people that have listened to me on the you're Gunila. And I'm like, and they talk to me like I'm their sister, like they know me and I have never seen them before, right? But that's how I would love you to feel, like you know me from speaking to me. And it's one of the reasons I do the podcast as well. So you can really trust me and understand that like I talk here is like I talk to you on a consult. So if that's you, if you're debating I should leave, not leave, I want to stay, but I don't know how, this, and you're like, come to a consult, you've got literally nothing to lose. Like if you hate it midway, you can always just like say end Zoom call and kick me out. But that is what I would recommend for you, to try it out and really see like, oh, these are the ways I could improve. And then you can take a beat and think about like, okay, so do I want to work with Gunila after this? And I'll send you an email like with everything, what it would entail and that, and there's like literally no pressure. So that's kind of like, I guess the end of this, what I want to say is like, come to a consult with me. And if you can't, because I have so many visitors over the summer, I have blocked off whole days to end up, so I don't have like a consult at 2 p.m. when we're supposed to go and visit a castle with my cousin or whatever. So if you can't find when you go into the calendar link, if there's not a time or date that suits you, just please email me or message me on any of the social media and say, hey, I want to consult. When can it be? And I'll just fit you in, because then when I know a concrete thing, then I can do it. I just don't want to leave a ton of gaps open, because then I can't organize my holiday around it, right? But I definitely will keep coaching throughout the summer. I never stop, because I coach myself, I coach other vets, I coach anybody I come across. So I'm never going to stop, and I would love to coach you. So come on a consult with me. I have the link attached in the show notes, and I've kind of created a page now that explains everything, like literally about my one-on-one coaching, because I feel like a lot of people don't want to do. Like if you're at this point now where you're like mentally and emotionally just drained, like I understand how you don't want to do a course, you don't want to be like downloading workbooks and filling them out. It's like, I cannot cope with this right now. But if you come to coaching, all you have to do is show up like once a week for 15 minutes and we'll just talk. That's all we do. And you just start like untangling those necklaces bit by bit and start seeing things really clearly. And in 4 months, the 4 months I normally work with my clients, like the clarity you're going to achieve. Like imagine that, like if you start now in July, so July, August, September, October, like by the end of the year, you could have like so much clarity about what you want, how you want to continue, want to leave, you want to stay, and why, right? So that's what I recommend for you. And I'd love to meet you in person and Zoom. So yeah, so don't hesitate to book a consult with me. And if anybody you know that are thinking about leaving that you think could benefit from this, like please share this episode with them so they can kind of get a bit of an idea of the clarity they might want to have before they decide one thing or another. All right. It was lovely to speak to you. Take care.